The Strategy of Information with Nick Inglis on infogov.net. On today's The Strategy of Information, Nick Inglis talks with George Dunn, president of Cre8 Consultants and widely recognized guru of business process efficiency. George Dunn and his team have worked with many leading companies, and their work is widely regarded as some of the best in the business. Stay tuned for a conversation on George's path into the information profession, some of his past work, and a discussion on driving business process improvement with George Dunn on today's episode of The Strategy of Information with Nick Inglis on infogov.net.
Welcome to The Strategy of Information. There was the old comedy bit from Rodney Dangerfield, where he said, "I don't get no respect." The irony of the bit being that Dangerfield was a wildly respected comedian. In the information space, it's business process improvement that don't get no respect. And yet, it remains one of the most important practices within organizations. You know, anytime you could tweak a process and save a couple $1 million, that's something that deserves respect. And one of the top leaders in the business process improvement space, often intersecting with the information space, is George Dunn. He's the president of Cre8, that's C-R-E and the number 8, Independent Consultants. George's client list is a who's who of America's leading companies, and they've come to rely on George and his incredible team as trusted partners, with a consulting practice that shows serious ROI. I'm very excited to welcome to the Strategy of Information the great George Dunn. I'll ask George some questions about his history and career, but also what drives George and makes him an ongoing leader in the space. We've even got a new segment that we're adding to the show in this episode, and I'm thankful that George was such a good sport to play along. I'm very proud to welcome to the Strategy of Information, George Dunn. Hi, George Dunn, and welcome to the Strategy of Information. George, you are the president of Cre8, C-R-E, and the number 8 Consultants. Could you share with us a little bit about what type of consulting you have been doing and your group does?
Sure. Well, Nick, it's good to see you again. It's been a while since your strategy conference in Rhode Island. It was really a lot of fun to attend. You did such a great job, and all your great work with ARMA and your new organization you're with too. But yeah, Cre8 Independent Consultants. We've been in business for 26 years. I started the company when I was 2, so I'm obviously 28 years. But before starting the company, I was with
always.
That's right. I was with KPMG Pete Marwick in the New York office, and then with GT Corporation and Wang Labs, where a lot of us kind of got into this industry. But we had the business 26 years. We have over 300 clients, ranging in size from companies with 250,000 employees to 25 employees across all industries. We specialize in process improvement. We are beyond methodology. We work with organizations to solve problems. It could be quality, efficiency, customer service, a letter from the regulators, union issues. So we help to reconstruct those processes quickly, work with their teams, and get that solved. And we also do a tremendous amount of advanced technology planning, whether it's digital workflow, robotic process automation, electronic content management, machine learning. So we come in as the consultants and help them understand what the cost of the technology would be, return on investment, best usage, enterprise-wide plans, workflow maps, help them find the vendor. So we're independent consultants. We help them with that. So that's what we do.
Yeah, and I've stumbled upon your work out there in the wild. You work with some really well-known organizations whose names we will not mention, but you do this incredible work in process improvement and technology planning. You're a trusted advisor to a lot of organizations, but also a lot of people in this profession look to your expertise. You've had this wonderful career, starting at age 2, clearly, based on your look of your age.
Maybe I was 35.
Somewhere in there.
I started this company. Don't do the math. There you go. Yeah.
No one's doing the math. You've had this great career in the information space, but let's walk it back to when you were 2 or 3. How did you end up in this crazy information profession that you're now doing this incredible work within?
Well, obviously, starting out with KPMG, Pete Morrick was a phenomenal opportunity, a great honor to work with them. And, start off being a CPA auditor, EDP auditor, when computers were really just starting to interconnect, even in banking, where a system would feed from one to another, and we had to figure out how to audit these things. And so back when I had a fro, I was the whiz kid for Fortune 10 companies talking about how to audit through these computer systems. And I had the opportunity to get into management consulting, into Pete Morrick's software products group, learn about how software is developed, testing, design. And I just saw that as being, really the future. And then this company called Wang Laboratories, Dr. Wang had invented this thing called imaging. And it looked really neat. And back then, I remember at the first AIM conference I went to, I think FileNet had a slicer dicer booth, and they were giving away free insoles. I think there were like 10 people in the booth. And all these people were saying to Wang and FileNet, what are you doing here? Why, this is a reprographics conference, right? But we saw that as the future, because once you can digitize the document, then there were opportunities for workflow. There are opportunities for recognition, opportunities for storage. And so the industry's just been continuing to evolve. So I just saw it as to be a great place for someone with a strong business background and technology understanding to really add value to companies and help them sort through this.
So you were at Wang, which a couple of episodes ago I talked with Bob Larrabee, who also
Bob and I keep in touch. Yeah, we both were at Wang. Yeah.
Were you both together at the same time?
I was in the West Coast. I think Bob was okay. East Coast. Yeah, but we knew
East Coast.
We knew many of the same people, and I was actually at a certain point on the Western region staff. So I was West Coast, myself and others like Al Ramsey and many other good people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it remains a small world in this profession for sure. You've worked with some of the leading consulting firms like KPMG, and now you own a niche firm focused on process improvement, technology planning, and the like. What do you see between those two experiences, between big firms and niche firms? If you're putting yourself in the shoes of a client, how do you know which type of organization you should be working with?
Well, I think that, the firms, Accentures and PwCs and Deloitte and Touches and others, they do fantastic work, and there's certainly a very strong place for them. But many of those companies they're really integrators these days. They are selling a product, even though they may be representing many. They are, they're the builder. And, we all know, Nick, whether you're building a home or you're building a building or a spaceship, you need to have a design that makes sense by itself, and it's tested out and is acceptable to the people that are going to be using the spaceship, if you will, return on investment calculation. So I think there is a role for the independent consultant to be, in terms of advisory services, to help organizations think through use case studies, interview their staff. Because planning, Nick, it can't be done in a consolidated, squeezed window. People have their own work to do. And what happens is we get these failure rate of these large computer systems because the planning was not done correctly. A planning cycle, you meet with each user group maybe once a week, and you're meeting with 10 or 15 user groups. There's more of a planning, type of approach. So a boutique firm can then provide, in many cases, a much higher level of expertise too, because it's a partner level person working directly at a lower cost, but you're still getting that same quality. Many of my people on staff are former partners with I guess maybe the big four now, big three. So everyone has their place. And then on the process side, it's pretty interesting because we're able to solve a lot of problems just through procedural changes, just changing the way people work. We find that actually 65% of problems in organizations are procedural, and combing that out. So it's a different kind of service, and it's really exciting too when you baseline a process and you show it back to people and the light bulbs come on and they go, wow, I didn't know what I didn't do or did do here severely impacted this other group. I really would like to fix this. So it's a fun journey to do that work, and um, it's something that a specialized niche firm like ours, I think, can do very well, and others like us too.
Yeah, and it's the focus. It's interesting. You're talking about the procedural, and then you go back, and it's been workflow and process and procedure throughout your entire career. So of course that's at your core. You know,
Yeah.
it permeates through all of your work, and then it permeates through your advisors as well.
Right. And the exciting thing too is the systems, we've got a 100% track record of success. Every system we've designed has been successful, and the vendors, the vast majority, really welcome our work because that cookbook's been put together. We've already asked the tough questions of the users, and also where do you steer your ship as an organization? If you deploy technology for its own sake, it's just a nifty idea. If you're deploying it against a strategic plan, where do we want to be 5 years from now from a customer service standpoint? What level of friction do we want to reduce internally with our customers? What's our efficiency? What's our quality in rework? We want to improve quality, reduce rework. Now what happens is we're deploying technology as an intervention to allow us to achieve our business goals. And it's phenomenal what can be done versus just like, hey, would you like to use this technology in your group? And we find a lot of these deployments, they're not sustainable without that master plan in place. So it just makes too much sense. So it's kind of like why I have two doors behind me. I picked this spot is there's the right way to plan for technology and the wrong way to plan for technology, and so you have to choose which door you want to go through. It does take some time to plan, not that much, but the results speak for themselves. And also, how do you know which vendor to how do you know which vendor to choose from if you don't know what your requirements are? How do you know? How do you know which one or which combination of vendors?
I love that preaching. So if you choose the right door, you end up in the rest of your home, since we're all home during this global pandemic. None of us are out yet. So if you choose the correct door, you end up in the rest of your home. If you choose the incorrect door, what is it? They end up in a closet and they're stuck there for the next 10 years until you implement a new solution.
It's the door going outside.
And you're out in the world. You're out in the wild.
Well, the other thing too is that there's so much in the line for executives these days. Rolling out these systems from whether it's $100,000 or $5 million or $30 million, it's got to be successful. It reflects directly on them, and it's everything from how well can we protect against a breach, to important information governance, policies and procedures and compliance, to efficiency, and you only get one chance to do it right. So planning. But quickly done. But done quickly. Don't take too.
Yeah.
So we found that these things should take between 1 month and 3 months in cycles and be done, show results.
And iterate.
Yeah.
I like that. So we've sort of talked about your early career. We've talked about what you've currently been doing and the team that you're leading. What's one thing that you wish someone had told you at the beginning of your career that you now know is truth, but no one had said it? And I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't prep you on this question.
Okay. Well, I'd say certainly speaking as a consultant, I didn't anticipate that we'd have all these economic downturns at different points along the way. 2008, 2009. The current COVID situation. This is really transformative in terms of your relationship with the client and how they're feeling and what they're going through. Also, people retire over the years and move on, and organizations change. And so, I think when I started the company, I thought that we'd get X number of clients and always be okay, and it'd be fine. But that changes. So really, I've learned you've got to get out there and keep talking about the message. The other is, I think executives today, I speak to busy CEOs all the time, and they're just like, George, just tell me what you found and tell me what I need to do, and just within a couple of minutes, because I'll hear it better. And we have all this data, and all this information. And we think they want to see this. They don't, because as a trusted advisor, you're saying, we already know you took a look. Just help me, tell me what we need to do. And so I've become even clearer in our relationships with our clients to check in with the CEOs, the CFOs, the directors, and continue the conversation beyond the project. And the other is, I didn't expect this to happen, but it did, and I'm very pleased about it, is that many of the people we've worked with have become promoted in their companies after these successful projects.
Yeah.
One gentleman was a director, and now he's the CEO of the entire company. And I went to visit him, and he pulled out the blueprint with the angry clocks and the coffee cups and everything we put together. And he said, "I still have this." Yeah. And so that was nice. That
he's still executing on those plans that you.
Well, perhaps not those exact plans, but it was nice to show that organizations did reward those folks that had very successful projects, and they were able to rise up in their organization. So that was a good feeling.
Success begetting success, that can't hurt for your business either, as they get promoted and then continue to choose the niche consulting firm, Cre8, that got them there in the first place. That's a beautiful thing.
We've got clients who 25 years been working with, 10 years working with. But I think the trick is to also, I think the other is love your client, not your product. It's the best thing that I can say, especially to vendors, is if you really show a sincere interest in the organization you're working with, helping them be successful, not selling them something, help them be successful, and in the success of their executives and staff. You come in as a coach, in essence, then you'll be a trusted advisor. And so that's, my best piece of advice for anyone out there is, get involved with your client and help them, and just
choose the correct side of the table to sit at. It's their side.
Well, sometimes you have to also let them know that there needs to be some change. And so if done correctly, it's not a problem. You do the analysis, and you do it together with the client. No surprise. I don't like that. We learn together, we do it quickly, and then we see what our options are, make a decision, and then they can move forward in which alternative they like to go with. So.
In addition to your track record of success over decades now, you also continue to serve the profession through various volunteer roles, and volunteerism, it clearly is a part of who you are, is giving back to the profession. I've seen you do volunteer with AIM, the Association of Intelligent Information Management, also Document Strategy Forum, DSF, ARMA, and more, and outside of the space as well, including the American Red Cross. You don't toot your own horn, but I see this as a part of who you are and the activities that you choose to put your time towards. How do you choose where to offer time and volunteerism, both personally and professionally? As someone who's made that a practice in your life, tell us about it.
Well, I think, you have to keep your eyes open. People who need assistance, they're not going to always tell you. Organizations that need assistance aren't always going to tell you. So I think, to be a responsible adult, we have to see what's happening around us and see, and how can we help? And there's many ways we can help, whether, like American Red Cross or other organizations. So we have to keep our eyes open. And it's easy as a busy executive to get marred down, and we've got so many challenges that we're going through, especially this last year with the COVID situation, and organizations transforming overnight to everyone working at home, or so many working at home, and so many brave people on the front lines. I mean, the fact is, the workers at our grocery store and our drugstore, they need to say thank you at a minimum. Thank you for being here and helping us, and so I think looking at things that way in terms of AIM and ARMA, I'm always happy to help, or document strategy to present and share ideas. that's just part of the community. So,
Yeah.
so I just say
I know you're.
keep our eyes open, and there's a lot of people that especially on an individual level, that never had to ask for help. They need help. So we need as a community to do that through existing associations and also through direct giving. And yeah, but thank you for asking that.
It's appreciated. I mean, look, it's something that I see, and it deserves to get called out. It deserves the attention that you don't give it. I mean, you don't shine a light on your own volunteerism ever. You're a humble, great guy. So I'm going to raise it so that you have to talk about it.
I need to do more now.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a boots on the ground perspective on the information profession. You're in and out of these, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies, as well as small and mid-sized organizations. There's everybody's sort of got a couple of technologies because the technology pace just is so rapid these days. Everybody's sort of got the things that they're looking out for as being potentially useful in the near future. What do you see, George, as what's coming next, or what do you have your eye on these days?
Well, as independent consultants, we're working with all kinds of technology sets and being called in. We part of a consulting team looking at 80,000 user shared tenant with M365, and how do they plan for that? What are the strategies to be successful? So ranging from that to machine learning to AI. But I would say in 2021, the two technologies that I'm seeing on the horizon, we've done lots of studies in these areas, and I'm really excited about is digital workflow and RPA, which is robotic process automation. It's not a robot, but it's called RPA. And in kind of a nutshell, I like how these two technologies interact. Digital workflow, when combined with like a form, electronic form, or something you might fill out, on your cell phone to create a request. Digital workflow can allow for automatic routing, if-then-else statements, and take information that was put in on the web, communicate it internally automatically, grab data off the data system, make a decision, interact back with somebody, another server, get parallel routes, sequential routes, tracking and tracing as people get involved. And the robotic process automation is focusing, although there's many things it can focus on, where I like to see it is high volume redundant tasks where there's also human error that occurs. So these two technologies, or actually three, the electronic form, digital workflow, and RPA, are transformative. I think that, especially with, people working on handhelds, working at home, working remote, we can really shrink time wasted or time waiting. We can get rid of a lot of unnecessary tasks and also things that people don't necessarily want to do anyway. The worker's tired of doing a lot of these things. So those are three technology sets I think that are very exciting for 2021. And there's a whole platform of vendors out there, that people can look at Appian, ServiceNow, Power Automate. There's a lot of them out there. Those are just one.
There is a strong ecosystem there now that's burgeoning. So each one sort of has their own different advantages, and the RPA space is still so new. Yeah. I mean, if I were looking at an RPA project, George, I'd probably be calling you. So
part of the challenges too is that we have to be careful, and you and I talked about this previously, to avoid sprawl. And RPA, if we just say to different people, where do you want to use it, how do you want to use it? Well, a lot of times the cost to develop and also the cost to maintain that is not worth it. There's no return on investment, or it's limited. So I think whether it's RPA or digital workflow, putting together an enterprise-wide plan is very important. So then you can choose what are the best projects. And as you know, Nick, many of those best projects are cross-functional. And so they're not low-hanging fruit. How do we really transform an organization with cross-functional teams across departments? And then it gets back to process too. How's the process work today? How are we going to clean it up? How can we apply these technologies? What's it going to look like tomorrow? And then creating the design requirements and get spot on what we're trying to accomplish. Now we have sustainability for these technologies, and that's the vendors want that, and the clients want that. So so those are technologies I'm really excited about. in 2021.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting to see how RPA continues to get applied. So we've seen those early use cases of RPA with applications processing, tax documents, those types of things. But RPA can do a whole lot more than that. It's going to be really, really fun to watch over the coming years.
Yeah.
All right, George, hold on to your seat, though. We're going to jump to a new segment. And I'm doing this with you, George, because I know you're game for it. And you'll... we're calling this On the Spot. And there'll be some sort of graphic that'll pop onto the screen now.
Okay.
Wasn't that great?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. You didn't see any of that yet.
Okay.
We'll do that in post-production.
Okay.
So the premise of this is, this new segment is, I have 10 questions for you.
Okay.
You give me 1 to 3 word answers, and you answer them as quickly as possible. The first answer to pop in your head.
Okay.
Are you ready, George?
Yeah.
All right, let the countdown begin. 3, 2, 1. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, vanilla.
Last vacation you took?
I'm on it now.
Where?
I'm in St. George.
Perma vacation. Cat or dog?
Oh, cat.
All right, a cat man. On your cell, is it text or talk?
Talk.
Favorite food?
Steak.
All right, on a scale of 1 to Beyonce, how would you rate your karaoke skills?
Oh, 9. I'm very popular. I've been thrown out of more karaoke places than So they actually like me to sing. I actually I go to these. I'm half with 3 words, but I go into these karaoke places with all these young people, and I enjoy. I sing a lot of Sinatra and Bublé, and they love Sinatra. It's got
I'm putting you at like 98% Beyonce. You're close.
Well, she makes money at it. I think the IRS would still call my singing a hobby. So.
Rice or pasta?
Pasta.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Place you never lived but wish you had or are dreaming of moving to?
Oh, U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, very nice. Star Trek or Star Wars? Know that you're going to upset half the audience either way.
Star Trek. Absolutely.
Is it Trekkie?
Yeah.
I love it. George, you've been a good sport. Great answers. I feel like we just completed the final round of Family Feud, and I should be saying survey says. George, you've been an awesome guest. Love to have you back again soon. George, where can our audience connect with you online?
Well, the easiest would be our website, Cre8Inc.com, CRE the number 8, INC short for incorporated.com, or an email at consulting@Cre8Inc.com would be just as well. We'd be happy to chat with them, let them know what we're seeing, and see what their goals are, and be happy to be of assistance if we can be.
That's awesome. Brilliant. George Dunn is the president of Cre8 Consultants. That's CRE and the number 8. George Dunn, thank you for taking the time to be with us on the Strategy of Information.
Thanks, Nick.
I love these conversations with leaders in the fringes of the information space, as it shows the variety of roles and careers that really exist within the broader information profession. A huge thank you to George Dunn for joining me for the conversation, and a huge thank you to you for listening and supporting the program by subscribing. Please push the subscribe button. Or thank you by becoming a contributor and making programming like this possible. Learn more about how you can support our programming at infogov.net. In our next episode, we'll be talking with best-selling author Raphael Moscatel about his latest best-selling release, Tomorrow's Jobs Today. We have a great conversation about everything from supply chain technology to baseball in the 1950s. I'm excited for you to listen in on that episode. Until then, I wish you the absolute best in all of your information endeavors.
The Strategy of Information is listener and sponsor supported programming. Subscribing to the podcast is free, but supporters gain access to every episode in HD video, bonus episodes, the occasional extended interview, merch like tote bags and stickers, and so much more. Head to infogov.net to learn more about supporting the program. Corporate sponsorship options are now available for Season 2 of The Strategy of Information. The Strategy of Information with Nick Inglis is available on podcast platforms everywhere and online at infogov.net. This has been a production of infogov.net.